What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to the Hollywood Rip Studio for yet another episode of the Hobby Headquarters. Thanks for joining us. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Hollywood, joined as per usual by Joe Nasty to my right, your left, guys. Huge milestone. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers. There are now 1,000 of you exactly that are tuning into this show. It means the world to us. It really does.
Truly.
So thanks for helping us reach our first big milestone. As we've said before, you guys are the lifeblood of the channel, but so much going on in the hobby as usual. 1961 Fleer, Wilt, Wemby Kabooms, Mercury, a $10,000 Goodwill find, all on this week's episode. Mm-hmm. But let's start things out with 1961 Fleer, Wilt Chamberlain. That grocery store.
That's right.
1961 Wilt Chamberlain.
And we still don't know which aisle it was in.
We don't, well, it was in a closet.
Oh, that's right.
It was in a closet, so it was not in an aisle. Apologies, by the way. I literally came straight here from game one of the NLCS between the Dodgers and the Mets.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm kind of decked out in some Dodger stuff.
With a police escort, though.
Yes, I did have a police escort because now we have 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, that's the rule.
Yeah,
that's the rule in Los Angeles.
Once you hit 1,000 subscribers, yeah, you get a police escort everywhere you go.
You can't go anywhere because every TikToker is just zooming past with police escorts.
yeah. LA at that point, LA would be all police escorts.
That's right. Is that David Dobrik?
I actually looked that way. But anyways, like we were saying, 1961 Fleer, Wilt Chamberlain, that grocery store one that graded an SGC 10. It was the first ever SGC 10. It has been crossed, which means it's been taken out and given to PSA, and PSA has graded it a PSA 10. What makes this interesting? Well, number one, PSA, I'm pretty sure owns SGC. So I don't want to say like they're kind of in cahoots with each other on this one, but I want to draw your guys' attention to a few things on this card. Namely, how did this card grade a PSA 10? I'm going to throw some pictures on your screen now, and while those pictures are on the screen, you won't see us because we're going to be looking at pictures of it on my screen.
Show me.
As well. But my question to you, first, we will do a picture of a PSA 9 version of the Wilt Chamberlain 1961 Fleer.
Looks tilted.
Beautiful edges. This was clearly a centering problem, right?
Yeah.
But look how clean the edges are.
Don't mind the blatant racism of the team, but yeah.
Very clean edges. Let's look at an Oscar Robertson PSA 10.
Oh, the big O.
Look at the edges. Clean, right? Very, very clean. One more time. Here's a 61 Fleer insert of Wilt Chamberlain. Look at the edges. Very clean.
Yeah,
once
nice.
again.
Dunks a two-pointer.
Now, I want to take a look at this PSA 10 that was just crossed over. So you have the overall picture from SGC, and you can see in this picture, let's go to the top left corner. There's a lot of fraying going on the edge of that card. There's a lot of fraying. Even on the right side. Look at the right side.
It's choppy.
It's rough. It's a little rough, right?
Yeah.
Inside of the new PSA 10 holder, we can see the same fraying, the same roughness.
Rough.
Right? Roughness. Right? So my question to you is how on earth, because now look, it's been proven that these cards are supposed to be smooth on the edges. And last I checked, edges are one of the 4 big grading categories.
Yeah.
How was this overlooked? How did this get a 10? Do you have any thoughts on this one? Because personally, I don't think this should be a 10. I'll just say it.
No, it's collusion, right?
That's what I think.
But how do you, so you think that they own SGC?
No, they do. They do.
Okay, they do.
They do. They own SGC.
So it's collusion. Because it hasn't been sold yet? Is this the one that got sold for? Oh, easy there.
Canada Dry, 0 sugar. I just spilled it all over the table. But
you enjoyed it so much you need it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
How am I supposed to focus on that? Is this the one that got sold for all those big bucks that we were talking about? The Wilt Chamberlain?
Yes. Sold for 1.7 million.
Yeah. So
And yes, PSA does.
That's why it's
has acquired SGC. They
crucial.
do have it.
look, but think about what we're talking about here. There's a card sitting in, let's call it a janitorial closet. No proof. I'm just gonna assume. This whole time I thought it was next to deodorant. So it's been since, let's call it even just the set. I'll give them a break, right? Ever since the 70s,
Right.
it's been sitting in a closet
Yep.
at a Smart and Final. Again, just a guess. And you're telling me that it's lasted and it's in perfect condition since that time?
Condition.
Like L'Oreal conditioner? There's no chance. There's no chance. So, yeah. That's what we've been talking about, though, right?
Look,
we need the robot grading. We need some guardrails.
I'm actually really curious to hear what you guys think about this.
1,000 of you.
All 1,000 of you, because it's so blatantly obvious that the edges of this card are not a 10. Yet we're sitting here telling you that this card got a 10 and sold for 1.7 million. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Help us figure out why. Second story of Hobby Headquarters this week. Victor Wembanyama. It's always Victor Wembanyama. But Victor Wembanyama, one of his rookie kabooms. This card right here. Right there. I know it's zooming in on my face. Yeah, this. If I hide my face, then it focuses on the card. This card.
That out with the ball last week.
We will put a picture of it on your screen. The first ever Wemby Kaboom has graded a PSA 10. In case you hadn't heard, when Panini produced and designed this year's version of the Crown Royale Kaboom, I'm pretty sure they hired someone who is visually impaired to make this. Because the centering was atrocious, and I mean atrocious.
I can use the joke hero.
What?
who did the centering?
Yeah, centering on these cards was apparently done by Helen Keller.
He did it.
Okay? So, I was trying to be like a little more politically correct, but, you know.
I don't think she actually did it. She's not alive.
The Canada Dry is getting to me. But anyways, my question becomes, and look, we threw the picture on the screen. You can see that the centering on all these kabooms, and it's not just the Wemby ones. It's every single kaboom in the entire set. I've never seen one graded higher than an 8 because the centering is horrible, right? The left side is way fatter than the right side. See how far over this border is to the right versus this one?
Yeah, that's terrible.
And on the back, you have the same problem. Way thicker here, way thinner there. And furthermore, they didn't even put the exclamation point on the card.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So this is what we're talking about. But somehow, and I'll put a picture of the 10 on your screen, a perfect version of this card has shown up and is the first ever PSA 10 Wemby 10. Okay? Mm-hmm. How is that the only 10 in existence I've seen that center? What this tells me, every other player in the set, the centering has been horrific, okay? So what that tells me is that Panini meant for these cards to be off-center.
Oh.
If they meant it, then technically that PSA 10 is way off-center.
What?
Right?
How do you mean? How do you mean?
Like, if they were designed to be like this, off-center.
They want this one to be off-center. So that means...
That's how the normal card is. So if one comes in that's totally centered all of a sudden, it's the only one in the world, that card is technically not what the designer wanted, right?
They want this to be happening.
So clearly Panini wanted them to be off-center if they made every other card. Because this isn't just Wemby. This is every single kaboom in the set, right? So PSA 10 of this, sure, it's going to do a ton of money, but we haven't seen anything higher than an 8 for virtually any player. This is a tough one. PSA is basically saying we reserve the right to decide what designs deserve a 10 versus an 8.
Now there's becoming critics, right? Now there's becoming essentially art critics. This one deserves it. This one, despite what, I mean, am I kind of wrong? Also, I like how in this one, he kind of looks like, those, the fighting nuns you used to pick up in like the 90s for like sporting events.
The fighting nuns.
You'd have one in like a Dodgers jersey, and then you'd have one in like...
Oh, that is like the boxing.
Yeah,
thing.
the boxing nun.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like.
Okay, yeah,
or he looks like the Notre Dame logo.
Kind of does. Yeah, kind of does. 100%.
He looks like
he does. He does.
Notre Dame, French, all that. Yeah, it is kind of weird. they're essentially saying this one's fine, this one's not. Also, but didn't we talk? I feel like one of our first ever episodes, we talked about like Panini being less than satisfactory quality, if you will.
Yes, but this was clearly a design that they carried on all of their kabooms. So
Right,
this
so
wasn't a problem. This wasn't like we messed up on a few guys. Sorry. It's like this is what they did for the whole set. So if there's only one card in existence that's actually centered, that tells me that they did not mean for that card to be centered.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Right?
That's a good point.
That's kind of my issue with it. Now, granted, that PSA 10 Wemby Kaboom will probably be the only one ever, and it will be worth a ton of money. Speaking of which,
and we'll talk about it.
Mercury. Topps Mercury update. We've gotten a lot of comments on this on our opening of Topps Mercury. We did hit 2 big Wembys to 10, serial number, jersey number 1 of 10, as well as an autograph to 10. Great box for us.
Yeah.
We did fine. But a lot of you guys in the comments do not like this product.
Why?
And look, I will agree with you that the base parallels are doing much worse on the market than I had anticipated. Same with a lot of the autographs. But what's doing well are the photos where his back is turned to the camera because you cannot tell that it's an unlicensed card.
The sultry ones, right?
Yeah, the sultry ones, you know. And the inscription cards are doing very well as well. I still think that there is more value in this than other boxes in general. Keep in mind, yes, they flooded the market with 6,000 Wemby autos. They did. But Wemby does not sign in any Panini products. Right. So that took away 70% of the autographs in a normal year as it is.
Right.
So I don't think this is as big a deal as people are saying. But look, I came on here and I really thought that this product was going to return a minimum of 70 to 80%. I was wrong. And it happens. Like, sometimes we're wrong. I think majority of these boxes, people are returning somewhere between 40 and 50%. Is so far what I've seen. It's been like 40 to 50%. And look, does that mean we're idiots? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Right? It's like, look.
Yes, but not in this instance.
It's one of these scenarios where, look, we come out, we give our best educated guess as to where we think something's going to go, right? Mm-hmm. Whether that happens or not, we got to be here and we got to give you guys an opinion on it, right? A lot easier to sit there and wait till after the fact.
Well done.
And then if sells for less, just turn around and say like, you guys were dumb for doing this, right?
Yeah.
Like if I had a nickel for every time I could have done that.
You'd have like 15 cents.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like a trillionaire,
all
right? So look, sorry. I did my best to try and predict what these cards would do, but at the end of the day, we don't know what these cards are going to do on the secondary market. We just don't. What are your thoughts, if you have any quick thoughts on Mercury?
I think people are just jealous. Got these cool ones right here. They don't. No big deal. You do you, boo. You keep putting yourself out there on a platter. What do they say? What do they say about hindsight? It's ridiculous.
I will keep putting myself out there. I will.
Good. I know you are.
But let's move to our next hobby topic, and that's a cool one. Someone by the name of Bo Thompson found a $10,000 2009 Mike Trout Bowman Draft Chrome first blue refractor autograph, I think, numbered to 150 in a box of baseball cards that he bought from Goodwill. He buys stuff from Goodwill a lot. He's found a rookie Trout in a Goodwill box before. What did he pay for this? He paid $1 per pound for pallets of sealed boxes of cards. This pallet was 700 pounds, so he paid $700 for this pallet. The last PSA 9 of this card did $20,000. He is sending it to PSA. He thinks he's going to get a 9. Okay? Also, like, why does this never happen to me? This never happens to us. I was at Goodwill yesterday donating a lot of stuff, including a lot of cards.
Humble brag.
I did not find a $10,000 Mike Trout. Have you ever found one?
No, but you do usually find some cute fits, or like some fun shirts.
You can find some cool like Nike stuff that you wanted like 3 years ago, but you never got.
Or like some vintage shirts that like someone got back in the day, but then they don't need anymore because they don't fit in it.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
But no cards.
Yeah, I mean, look, cool, really cool hobby story. I love to see when this stuff happens. I would just love it if it would happen to me for once. But we'll see. Still got time.
Yeah.
Still got time. Moving on. Next hobby story. Shohei Ohtani's 50th home run ball. Of course, you know it is being auctioned by Golden. It is currently at $1.7 million. That is $2.074 million, including the buyer's premium.
Right.
So whoever buys this ball will officially spend over $2 million to get it. We are filming this on a Sunday night. I am actually going to a private event tomorrow night. I was invited by Golden, actually.
Personally?
I was personally invited by Golden to see the 50th home run ball. I'll take a picture with it and show you guys in one of our later episodes.
That's cool.
It's going to be pretty cool.
Because you're going to buy it for $2 million.
It's going to be pretty cool. I have more news on why I'm going to this Golden event in a second. Yeah, sure. But Mark McGwire's 70th home run baseball sold for $3.05, $3,050,000 in 1999. How much money is that in today's dollars?
$3 million. I mean,
that was 25 years ago. Someone paid $3 million for McGwire's 70th home run. That is insane. But Ohtani's ball over $2 million now. You jumping in on this bidding or what?
I'm the reason it's skyrocketing.
Yeah, he was the last bid actually.
I would honestly.
But I'm going to outbid him at the last second.
He will. That's what he does. Isn't it weird? Tell me about this crazy statement. I would pay more for the McGwire ball than I would for the Ohtani ball. We're still talking about it 25 years later. We will talk about the Ohtani season and the game.
Yeah, preliminary estimates, I've read some experts have projected that McGwire ball is now worth between $250,000 and $400,000.
To me, it's worth. To me, that's kind of the thing, though. It's whatever.
But does the whole steroids thing not bother you?
I remember waking up every single day.
I do too.
Checking the newspaper to see if he or Sammy Sosa, and early on in the race, Ken Griffey Jr. Seeing what their home run race was. I tuned in specifically when the Cubs were at Busch Stadium.
Yeah.
When he hit number 62. The steroids thing has a asterisk or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
But that was right after the strike, and the sport was about to go kaput. Probably not really, but yeah. To me, as a young baseball fan, so like this is purely personal. To me, that ball. I remember. Do you remember who he hit the 70th home run off of? Because I do. That's how much it means to me. I actually have no idea who Ohtani hit the 50th off of, which maybe makes me a bad Dodger fan.
Who was it?
If I'm correct, which I feel pretty confident saying, it was Carl Pavano when he was a Montreal Expo.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Montreal Expos, Busch Stadium.
Yeah, to me,
the first time we had seen 70 home runs.
That's true, but he had to cheat to do it.
Think about what we talked about last week. There goes my pen. Aaron Judge hit what? 66 home runs 2 years ago?
Was it that many?
Yeah, he broke the AL record, so he got past 61.
Yeah, but I thought it was like one or two past.
63, 64.
I think it was like 62 or 63.
And we're sort of,
I don't know.
We're sort of numb to 60 now, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Ish.
Yeah.
He hit 70, and it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's
crazy. I get it. I'd still take the Ohtani ball.
Take it.
Yeah.
Off of me. Take it off my hands.
But we wanted really quick, because this one's going to be exciting.
Right.
So I told you that I was going to this Golden event on tomorrow night. I'll have an update for you on it probably in the next episode. But let's just preface it with this. Now, this is open, but this is a box of Topps Mercury right here. This is Topps Mercury.
It is.
Okay? We have a brand spanking new sealed box of Topps Mercury. I have partnered with Ken Golden, as well of Golden Auctions, of course, as well as Scott Hanson of NFL Redzone. And we're going to be auctioning off this sealed box of Topps Mercury in one of the top few lots on Golden for the next week. The winner will open this box live on Instagram Live with Ken Golden and Scott Hanson, and you will receive a signed football of Scott Hanson with a Redzone inspired inscription. Not sure what the inscription is going to be yet, but so that's part of also why I'm going to this event, is we're doing some media stuff, we're doing some promo videos, stuff like that, so it'll be really fun. Next story.
You're just going to move right off that? Jeez.
Yeah, moving on.
Wow.
We got a lot to get through.
I know.
Got a lot to get through. This one's going to be 30 seconds. Guess what?
What?
Shohei Ohtani's first car in the United States, it was a Tesla Model X. It went for auction. And it had 38,000 miles on it. For those of you who are used car experts, you can probably tell me if this is a good deal or not. But it sold for $51,000. In my opinion, that's not that bad of a deal, because it's a clean title, and it comes with an old school auto. His autograph is on the DMV card that is in the car still.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, this is pretty cool. You can own a piece of history. You can say, I own Shohei Ohtani's first car in the United States. That's pretty darn cool. But I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Any thoughts on it?
It seems like he really didn't drive very far around in Anaheim, did he? Because he lived in the parking lot, right?
Yeah, he did.
Worst car, PT Cruiser, Pontiac Aztec.
Oh. Is it bad that I used to want a PT Cruiser when I was 12?
You know what? We all had to grow in one way, right?
yeah. My taste has changed since then. Moving on. Topps Now, and of course, Topps How.
The greatest thing I've ever contributed to.
Topps Now. Honestly, everything I saw on Topps Now this week was pretty kosher. I was good with it.
Shana Tova.
Yeah. None of it was ridiculous. Good job, Topps. Everything was an actual sport. But that doesn't mean that we do not have a Topps How for this week.
We're partnering. We're going to.
First Topps How. How about this one? The Philadelphia Phillies. Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Alec Boehm, Bryson Stott, and Brandon Marsh went a combined 7 for 79 in the NLDS against the Mets. So how about a Topps Now card to commemorate them hitting 113 between those 6 players? That power of friendship stuff is strong.
It's like a Star Wars. It's like a Star Wars movie.
You get it? Like the Mets are the power of friendship team this year. You get it? You get it?
With the highest payroll in baseball.
You get it? It was hard for me to fit all those autographs on the card, by the way.
That's a lot of big ones.
These take some designing. Moving on to Topps How.
That's a lot of star power, too.
Card number 2.
So is this one.
The San Diego Padres. All right. The Padres scored 0 runs in the final 24 innings of the NLDS against the Dodgers. They scored 21 runs in the first 20 innings. Okay? So how about this card? Fernando Tatis, Jerks and Profar, Manny Machado. 24 innings? How? Right? That leads us into our MLB Playoffs segment.
Beautiful transition.
Of course, we'll start here. The Dodgers did edge the Padres in 5 games, which was probably the most marquee playoff matchup of the entire playoffs, unless the Dodgers play the Yankees in the World Series.
Right, yeah.
As I said before, the Padres scored 21 runs in 20 innings to start the series, and then scored 0 in the final 24 innings to end the series. Dodger fans acted like hooligans at the stadium, throwing beers and a whole bunch of other crap onto the field. It was a little bit ridiculous, but let's be honest. I've been to a lot of baseball parks around the country. I've seen a lot of baseball games around the country. And let's not forget, 2 years ago, the Padres threw beers at Cody Bellinger in center field in the playoffs.
They sure did.
Okay? This happens at every single stadium in the country. I don't care what team it is. This happens at every single stadium. Jerks and Profar was dancing, jumping up and down in front of the crowd after robbing the Mookie homer. He also came out, and this is, and I quote, said after they lost, "We don't want to give credit either to their pitching. We just didn't come through." Fernando Tatis was like pelvically rotating in the outfield dancing.
It was very erotic.
Wagging his tongue to the crowd.
Also.
Blowing kisses, faking to wipe tears away.
Yes. A lot of bravado.
Yeah. Manny Machado was probably the classiest of the bunch, honestly, even though he did have some beef with Flaherty and Roberts at one point there. And look, I don't condone fans throwing shit ever. It happens at every stadium. But if you rile up a bunch of drunk fans like the Padres did,
in a heated environment.
In a very heated environment. This is a fierce rivalry at this point. I would argue that this rivalry right now is hotter than any rivalry in the rest of the league.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, what do you expect is going to happen?
Yeah.
You know? Any final thoughts on Dodgers getting through the Padres in 5?
Yeah. So there's also a video of Jurickson Profar, either this year or last year, getting stuff thrown at him in San Francisco. Common thread here.
Wonder why.
Yeah, there's a real interesting thread here.
And look, yes, keep in mind, are we biased? Of course, 100%. But I'm just trying to tell it from both sides, okay?
It's just tough. Well, what do we hear? What do we see online? What do we get commented to us? You can't criticize the Dodgers for being too businesslike. You can't criticize Dodger fans for being too lazy and not showing up and not filling out a stadium, and then turn around and be like, oh, there's a little bit too much passion now that it's been ratcheted up to 1,000 degrees.
Yeah.
By the way, the city of Philadelphia fetishizes this stuff, and all they do is get credited as like the best home field advantage in MLB.
Well, they also get credited for having the worst fans.
They do, but then people are like, oh, they're so loud. You'll never question their passion.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
That's what I'm getting at. In terms of Machado, I actually don't have any respect for Manny Machado. So,
fair.
Track record. I'm talking about track record here. He fired that ball at another team's manager.
Well, I don't know if I would say fired it.
You don't toss the ball, you've been to a lot of games. You toss the ball over the infield back to your dugout when you're done with warm-ups, or you toss it to the ball boy.
Yeah.
What he's also done, though, is cleat Jesus Aguilar in the 2018 NLCS.
Yes, he did do that.
What he's also done is act like a fool during his time in Baltimore, and he spiked Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah, he had that egregious slide, too, at second.
Dustin Pedroia.
Was that Pedroia?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
He's gotten when he was in Baltimore, I think at least 2 or 3 bench clearing brawls.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a pattern again.
It's a pattern. Yeah.
And so if he's your team leader, he brought the team together in Game 2 in the dugout. He's the team leader. If Fernando Tatis Jr. shaking his junk in right field, if Fernando Tatis doing all that in the dugout, those are your team leaders. Well, then you have a culture problem, probably. And then you can't even, you have Jurickson Profar, who I do believe is a free agent, talking about, well, no respect to the pitching when you just historically got shut down.
Yeah.
Inning number 2 of Game 3, they still haven't scored since.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, let's move to our next series, and these we're not going to talk about them in depth. But
no.
The Guardians did edge the Tigers in 5 games. Tarek Skubal gave up a grand slam to Lane Thomas to clinch that loss.
Lane Thomas, our guy of the show.
Yeah, our guy. As we've talked about, Skubal really needed to be perfect and every time out for the Tigers to have any chance. He had this one hiccup, and look at that, Tigers bounced, gone.
They had it set up perfectly, too. Game 5.
The Mets beat the Phillies 3-1, and they do look like the team of destiny, although they did get crushed by the Dodgers tonight. And, man, that was an ugly, ugly game. We'll talk about it a little more in a second.
Right.
The Yankees got to the ALCS 3-1 over the Royals. Bobby Witt Jr. did not hit, and so the Royals did not go.
Right.
Judge has struggled. Some timely hitting from the Yankees, some bombs from Stanton.
Yes.
And a lights-out bullpen.
Especially Luke Weaver,
have gotten the Yankees to this point. Garrett Cole's looked dominant. Good. That bodes well for the Yankees. Predictions for NLCS, ALCS. I'm going to say the Dodgers over the Mets in either 5 or 6 games. I cannot believe that the Mets are throwing Kodai Senga into the playoffs. I like Schwarber. Schwarber took him deep on the first pitch of the game.
First at bat.
Or first at bat of the game. He hasn't pitched the entire year, and you're going to send him into Philadelphia and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
A right-handed pitcher who's going to go face Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman, guaranteed in that first inning. I'm sorry, I don't get it. Unless Senga is good to pitch 5-6 innings, I'm not throwing him out there at all. What did the Mets do next? Well, they brought in Peterson from the bullpen, a lefty, to face Kike Hernandez leading off the inning. What did Kike do? He singled. I understand Gavin Lux. That's a good matchup against Gavin Lux. But you then turn Tommy Edman around to the right side where he's a better batter.
Right.
He then singles or doubles, and you've now set the table with 2 men on for Ohtani, who then doubles deep to center, and the game gets broken open. So look, I don't understand the move to put Peterson in there. They made base running mistakes. Jesse Winker got gunned down between second and third. They made defensive mistakes. Pete Alonso floated a little throw to second base that was off. They had no pitching. They had no hitting. They had bad managing. This was probably one of the ugliest playoff games performances I've seen in a long while. And I don't know if it's that the Mets have had 3 days off since, 4 days off? No, they finished Wednesday. 3 days off, right? Something's got to change for the Mets if they're going to have any chance in this series. And I know Dodger pitching is weak. I know. But if Yamamoto and Flaherty are getting wins, watch out. Because if those two guys can pitch, the Dodgers are going to be awful hard to beat. We came into the playoffs thinking they didn't have a chance because they could not pitch. And the Padres, sure enough, hit them hard at the beginning of the series. But since then, things have changed. They've thrown 33 consecutive scoreless innings.
Which is tied for a record.
Unless something changes for the Mets here, they are outgunned. They are just outgunned. This Dodger team is way more talented. I'm going to say Yankees are going to advance over the Guardians in a crazy 7-game series.
You think so?
I think so. Alex Cobb versus Carlos Rodon tomorrow. Yikes. Tough spot for Alex Cobb. He's thrown in 3 games this year. And the Tigers roughed him up just a few days ago. But the Guardians didn't get a break. They've kept playing this whole time. The Yankees got a mini break, right? Mini break. Just a few days. A smidge. Look what happened to the Mets. The Guardians realistically need to steal just 1 game in New York. Tanner Bibee is probably their best shot. He'll go in game 2, but he will face Garrett Cole. That'll be tough, but that might be a must-win if they lose game 1. But I do think, and I think baseball needs to seriously look at this format. I do not like that we go 2-3-2. 2 games at home, 3 games on the road, 2 games at home. Because if you're the higher seeded team and you lose 1 game at home, you have now guaranteed the chance that you might not even make it back to your home field.
Sure.
And I think that's BS. I know it's for travel schedules. I know it's for TV schedules, stuff like that. But I'm sorry, that's BS. What are your predictions on NLCS, ALCS? 1 minute, go.
Well, yeah, it's because of they try to pack an entire playoffs in 1 month, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy in of itself. Well, I said the world hates me, and I said that it'd be Padres versus Astros for the World Series. So because of that, I will say it's going to be Mets versus Guardians. Actually, Mets versus Subway Series. Look, it's all that happened tonight at Dodger Stadium, and what's the old adage? In fact, it's not even they have to wait 24 hours. They play right in the middle of the day.
They play 18 hours.
It's a crazy turnaround. It's only 1 game. And Yamamoto's only going to get 1 start in the series because he had to throw in Game 5. That's an advantage. Flaherty looked great tonight, but he will have to go again at some point, and the Dodgers will, in all likelihood, have to do 2 bullpen games in the series. Now, they say the advantage for the Mets is in the starting rotation. But in my eyes, that advantage is just because they have a rotation.
They have a rotation. Yeah, the Dodgers rotate 3 pitchers.
Right. But if I were to say to you, Quintana, Manaea, Severino.
None of those people
are you really
scare me.
shaking in your boots?
No.
And Quintana and Manaea especially need you to chase outside the zone, which this lineup does not particularly do.
But yet you think the Dodgers are not going to win this series.
Exactly. The series starts now. John Smoltz said it on the broadcast. This is a game with Flaherty on the mound that they needed because they're going to go bullpen game 2. And to me, the key of the series is actually Walker Buehler. Because I feel better with Yamamoto on the mound, even before Game 5, than I do Walker Buehler. Truly. And this is supposed to be a guy they need to hold down that number 3 spot. So I think the series actually starts in Game 2.
Yeah. Yankees, Guardians, 30 seconds.
A lot of strikeouts in that Guardians lineup, to be honest.
Big hitting lineup.
They will swing, but they will also swing and miss.
They will miss. Can
the rotation give them enough to shorten it in the bullpen? Classic Cleveland recipe for success with a dominant bullpen. Clase is unbelievable.
Score runs, get to the bullpen.
Score enough runs, or at least score enough runs to stay close, because the clearest advantage is the bullpens in this, which is Cleveland over New York.
Yeah. Well, moving to our NFL update really quick, we'll just touch on the big highlights. The Bears and Caleb Williams went into Jacksonville, a.k.a. London, and smoked the Jags. Caleb Williams looked really good again. Yep. And what also happened again, the Chicago run game was elite again.
There you go.
The Ravens beat the Commanders 30-23 in the battle of 2 quarterbacks who are kind of like spitting images of each other, possibly. Washington looks pretty legit. The Cowboys lost by 38 points at home to the Lions.
I think since the 90s.
Yeah, you know Jerry Jones is seriously not happy with that. Joe Burrow got the Bengals to 2-4, I believe. The Packers thrashed the Cardinals. Jordan Love had 4 touchdowns. I had an unfortunate fantasy day. I had Travis Etienne, Chris Olave, and Marvin Harrison Jr. 2 of them got concussed, and Etienne was out for the game. And I had Achan, who got concussed last week. Yikes. Quick NBA update. NBA update.
Did you go to the London games also?
Because we're getting very close to the NBA season now. It's just like 10 days away or something.
Really?
And all I got for you is that Jokic still hates doing interviews, and Bronny James sucks at basketball. But that'll do it for us for this week's episode of the Hobby Headquarters. Hope you enjoyed this week's show. Remember, if you did, to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And thank you so much once again for helping us get to 1,000 of you beautiful subscribers here. You guys are what allow us to keep doing this going forward. And don't forget, if you want to open a box of Topps Mercury with Ken Golden and Scott Hanson, don't forget to bid on our auction that's coming up on Golden this week. It will close the day that Wemby makes his season debut against Luka and the Mavs. So from both of us here at Hollywood Rip Studio, I'm Mr. Hollywood, that's Joe Nasty. See you next week, Mr. Hollywood, Joe Nasty.